The elves, the fairest and wisest of all beings in Middle-earth, have long been portrayed as noble guardians of light, standing eternally against the shadow. But what if I told you that Tolkien's earliest manuscripts contained a darker truth about the Firstborn? What if there existed a conspiracy so profound, so unsettling, that the professor himself chose to bury it in the depths of his archives? Today we venture into forbidden territory, exploring the shadowy alliance that nearly changed the fate of Middle-earth forever. Greetings, seekers of hidden lore. May Govannen. On today's journey, we shall peel back the layers of carefully constructed history to reveal what Tolkien deliberately concealed: the conspiracy of the Avari and their pact with powers that should never have been awakened. To understand this buried truth, we must first return to the great journey, to that pivotal moment when the Eldar were summoned to Valinor. When Orome discovered the newly awakened elves by the waters of Cuiviénen, not all answered the call to journey west. Those who refused became known as the Avari, the unwilling. History, as we know it, tells us they simply vanished into the east, playing no further part in the great tales. But Tolkien's earlier drafts, particularly those found in what Christopher Tolkien cryptically referred to as the problematic papers, paint a vastly different picture. The Avari did not merely fade into obscurity. They harbored a deep resentment toward their kin who abandoned them, and more critically, toward the Valar themselves. In these suppressed writings, Tolkien explored a terrible possibility: that the Avari, in their isolation and bitterness, sought power from sources the Valar had forbidden. Not from Morgoth, as one might expect, but from something far older, entities that existed before the music of the Ainur shaped reality. These beings, referred to only as the Unbegotten in Tolkien's notes, were remnants of the Discord, pure chaos that existed outside Eru's design. The Avari, led by a figure named Morwe in the deleted texts, discovered rituals that could commune with these entities. The price for such communion was steep. It required the voluntary corruption of their own fear, their immortal spirits. What makes this conspiracy particularly chilling is its scope and duration. According to the removed passages, this pact was made shortly after the departure of the Eldar, meaning it predated even Morgoth's corruption of the elves into orcs. For thousands of years, while their western kin built kingdoms and fought noble wars, the Avari were secretly working to undermine the very foundation of Arda itself. The conspiracy's ultimate goal was nothing less than the unmaking of the Valar's work. The Avari believed that by weakening the barriers between Arda and the Void, they could force a return to the primordial state where all beings were equal in the chaos. No Valar to command, no hierarchy of creation, just existence without the burden of destiny. Evidence of their influence appears in unexpected places throughout the Legendarium, though Tolkien carefully obscured the connections. The creation of the Palantiri, for instance, originally involved Avari knowledge in the deleted drafts. These seeing stones were not merely communication devices, but potential gateways that could, under the right circumstances, peer beyond the circles of the world. Tolkien removed all references to this darker purpose, transforming them into benign tools of the faithful. Even more disturbing is what Tolkien initially wrote about the corruption of certain Noldor. The kinslaying at Alqualondë was not merely the result of Feanor's pride and the oath. In the suppressed version, Avari agents had infiltrated the Noldor, whispering in the ears of the sons of Feanor, amplifying their rage and desperation. The burning of the ships at Loscar was suggested to Feanor by one who claimed to be a wandering elf, but was actually an Avari conspirator, ensuring the Noldor could never be united again. The most shocking revelation comes from Tolkien's notes about the Second Age. He originally conceived that Sauron's ability to deceive the elves of Eregion was not solely due to his fair form as Anatar. The Avari had prepared the way, spreading subtle philosophies that made the elves more receptive to the idea of preserving their realms through artificial means. The Rings of Power in this deleted narrative incorporated not just Sauron's craft, but fragments of Avari lore about binding reality to one's will. Why did Tolkien remove all of this? The answer lies in a letter he wrote, but never sent, found among his papers. I find myself troubled by the implications of the Avari conspiracy. If the elves, the firstborn and fairest, could fall to such depths without the direct corruption of Morgoth, what hope is there? The tale becomes too dark, too nihilistic. Evil must come from without, not from within the hearts of those meant to be good. This philosophical crisis led Tolkien to systematically remove every reference to the conspiracy. He replaced complex moral ambiguity with clearer lines between good and evil. The Avari became simply those who refused the journey, not active agents of chaos. Yet traces remain like shadows at the edge of vision. The unexplained knowledge possessed by certain characters, the convenient timing of various betrayals, the strange reluctance of the Valar to act directly. All these could be explained by the invisible hand of the Avari conspiracy. Consider Gil-galad's mysterious death. In the published version, he dies heroically fighting Sauron. But in Tolkien's earlier draft, there's a haunting line. And in that moment, Gil-galad recognized in Sauron's eyes a glimmer of knowledge that should not have been there. Secrets that only the eldest of the East would know. This was removed, the death simplified to mere combat. The implications ripple through the entire Legendarium. If the Avari conspiracy existed, it means that every major catastrophe in Middle-earth's history had a hidden dimension. The fall of Gondolin. Was Meglin's betrayal truly just about unrequited love, or had he been contacted by Avari agents? The destruction of the two trees. Did Morgoth act alone, or did he have information about Valinor's defenses from conspirators who had been planning this for millennia? Perhaps most unsettling is what this means for the Fourth Age and beyond. If Tolkien had kept the conspiracy in his narrative, the departure of the elves to Valinor takes on a different meaning. They're not just leaving because their time is ending, they're fleeing because they know something. The Avari, immortal and patient, would still be there in the shadows of the world, waiting for their moment to complete their great work. In one particularly chilling deleted passage, Tolkien wrote, "And Elrond spoke privately to Aragorn before his departure. The victory over Sauron is but a respite. There are older shadows that even the wise do not fully comprehend. Guard well the kingdoms of men, for you face not just orcs and fallen Maiar, but the cunning of those who should have been your greatest allies." This transforms the entire ending of The Lord of the Rings. The scouring of the Shire wasn't just about showing war's reach. In the deleted narrative, it was orchestrated by Avari agents testing how vulnerable the new age of men would be. Tolkien removed this layer, perhaps feeling it destroyed the eucatastrophe, the sudden joyous turn that he believed essential to fairy stories. As we reach the conclusion of this dark revelation, we must ask ourselves, was Tolkien right to bury this conspiracy? Did he protect the integrity of his mythology by maintaining clearer moral boundaries? Or did he rob us of a more complex, more terrifying truth about the nature of corruption and choice? The Avari conspiracy suggests that evil doesn't require a Dark Lord. It can spring from disappointment, abandonment, and the desire for a different world. These deleted elements fundamentally change how we read every interaction between elves in the published works. Every council, every alliance, every moment of trust could have been infiltrated by agents of chaos. The fact that Tolkien felt compelled to remove this entire plotline speaks to how powerfully it threatened his vision of Middle-earth as a world where good and evil, while complex, were ultimately distinguishable. As we close the Forbidden Archives and return to the familiar shores of published Middle-earth, I invite you to see the elves with new eyes. Behind their fair faces and wise words, could there lurk shadows of the conspiracy Tolkien feared to fully explore? The next time you read about the Grey Havens and the elves sailing into the west, remember, they might not just be leaving because their time has ended. They might be fleeing something that still watches from the darkness of the east. My fellow loremasters, if this excavation of buried secrets has illuminated dark corners of Middle-earth you never knew existed, I call upon you to light the beacons of knowledge. Share this video with those who think they know Tolkien's world, and let them discover the shadows beneath the shadows. Subscribe to join our fellowship of secret seekers, for next week we delve into another mystery Tolkien tried to hide. The true identity of the Blue Wizards and why their story was deliberately left unfinished. And please, share in the comments below. Do you think Tolkien was right to remove the Avari conspiracy, or would Middle-earth have been richer for this darker complexity? Your insights always illuminate paths I have yet to explore. Until the stars are strange, farewell.